Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Amar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to have Alexander Duck, the founder of A Duck Training and Development. This is a firm specializing in leadership and organizational development training. With a master's in adult education from Auburn University, Alexander brings a wealth of experience in developing, coordinating, and instructing training programs for various organizations, including the Government and Economic Development Institute and the University of Alabama in Huntsville. His firm offers customized research-driven training programs aimed at enhancing leadership, communication, and team management styles. Alex, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you so much.
I am excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So, can you take us back to before you started your company? What were you doing at that time, and what was the motivation slash inspiration to starting the company?
Sure. So actually started in, you mentioned government and economic development. So I was working with Auburn Outreach, afforded me the opportunity to travel all over my state. I've gone to counties and cities and towns that most people have never even heard of, and provide training, professional development training for people working in public sector jobs. So we worked with people all the way from the city clerk and the county clerk, all the way up to the county commissioner, which is like the big wigs,
Yeah.
property tax individuals, people from all different areas in the public sector. And that's when I fell in love with working with adult professionals in their roles already, in the positions and the jobs and the places they were already familiar with. Fast forward, I worked for University of Alabama, Huntsville, and their professional development wing, and got to work with a lot of cybersecurity professionals. Got to work with people who are doing programming for the government, work for the Department of Defense, which is a big industry here in town. And again, delivering to them training that was very specific for the jobs that they were doing, training that they needed.
Mhm.
But what I saw when I was doing this and going out to all of their association meetings and their happy hours and stuff is that they were not getting soft skills training.
Mm,
And it may be a little bit of a negative stereotype of like engineers, but they're not the most extroverted
yeah.
people. They're not the most communicative. They're not the most outgoing. And so I was like, but they have to work with other people.
Mhm.
Everything we do in the Department of Defense, cybersecurity is collaborative, big collaborative
Yeah.
work. So I was like, there's a need. That's what I saw was there was a need for leadership training and professional development, particularly around ideas of communication and conflict navigation
Got it.
that just wasn't being addressed in our community of professionals here.
Got it. Leadership training, and you said organizational development as well,
Professional development.
and professional development. I love
Mhm.
that. And yeah, it's so powerful. It's so important, especially in today's world where everybody is behind the screen. We're all in front of our devices. These soft skills are one, a competitive advantage. It helps
Mhm.
you just dramatically set yourself apart, but it also is missing in today's society. So people crave it. So I'm curious for you, what was it like shifting from academia to being a business owner? What was the biggest challenge or roadblock that you face in that transition?
Sure. Not having the apparatus. So, a lot of what happens with the colleges and the universities is they have a reputation, right? And so, their name, when people think, oh, we need to bring a specific type of training to our company, the colleges and the universities are usually the first place that they look. Is are they doing it already? Or they'll reach out and ask. And most of the colleges and universities will have some division, office, something that will work with employers to provide specific training. And so people are more likely to go there than to go out and look for a small private company. That
Mm,
the advantage, though, however, is that a small private company can often do that same exact training for a whole lot less.
yeah,
And they're not focused on 1,500 other things. They're focused on that one particular client and that one particular thing they need. So the training, right, can be more effective, both
for
cost
sure.
effective and just more personalized.
Yeah, the results could also be a lot more effective, like you were saying,
Yeah,
because private company, obviously, they need to make sure that they're delivering the results. Otherwise, they're going to be out of business, right? So
correct.
listeners understand, the ones that know nothing about your company. So you do leadership training and professional development. Who's your ICP? Who do you love to work with? And from there, what are the different offers and services that you provide? What does it actually look like to be a
Mhm.
client of yours?
Sure. So, one of the things that I always start off when I have conversations with business owners or with organizations and associations is I like to start with the question, have you ever had a terrible job? And everybody answers yes. Everyone has had a terrible job or a terrible boss, a place where they sat in their car before their shift and were like, do I even want to go in?
Yeah.
No one likes that. And so our jobs, full-time jobs, we're spending 40 plus hours a week at. Why be miserable? And
Mm,
the other case, the business case, when I talk to business owners and executives, is attrition. We hear this conversation about we can't keep people keep leaving. It's hard. We spend so much money. And the question is, do people want to work for you?
mm,
And if you can't keep anyone for more than 90 days, it's because no one wants to work for you. We can change that. It's all
yeah,
about workplace culture. And that's how we tie in communication, leadership, team management skills, conflict navigation skills. Because when you build a cohesive work environment that is functional, that is effective, where people feel cared about, where people feel like they can communicate freely, people will want to work for you.
yeah.
And I'm like, so I tell everyone simply, I just want to make workplaces suck less. Like, I just want to make going to work more enjoyable for everybody. But how do we get there is through training.
Got it. So what is that? First off, do you focus with specific types of organizations or is it across the board?
It's across the board. I have a special place in my heart for nonprofits and associations, particularly professional associations where people pay membership dues and they're going out in their own time because they're just really
Got
invested
it.
in their career field. But I do work with businesses of all sizes. We have, in addition to cybersecurity, a lot of manufacturing in North Alabama. And so I work with manufacturers as well. A lot of times they have new supervisors, new
Yeah,
managers, people who may be great at their job, they may be great at production, but now they're moving up to a team lead position, or they're moving up to a group lead or a supervisor manager position, and they've never managed other people before.
got it.
Those
Got it.
people really need this training early on so that they don't get burnt out in the management role and so they can effectively run their teams.
100%. Okay, so right now, in terms of, let's say I'm one of these companies and I come in and I'm like, okay, Alex, let's do this work together. I definitely need this. What does that look like? Are these like in-person events? Is this like Zoom coaching combination? What does it look like from start to finish if I'm a client for you?
Sure. I do both in person and virtual. I do
Okay.
prefer in person. I find most people do. Typically, we would start by identifying what are the needs. So we would look at the different topics, different subjects, different areas, and then
Yeah.
identify what do they think is going to benefit their staff the most. Then decide how much time do we need to do that for the training. And it can be as short as 1 or 2 hours and as long as a full day depending on how many subjects they want, areas they want to cover.
Yeah.
And then me coming to them, bringing them all the materials. I always create all of my own presentations as well as all of my own activities and materials because I have that strong education background. And then we go through it. And so it's a mixture of presentation, activities, workshops, role play, all those different things wrapped into one. And then always obviously following up with them afterwards.
Yeah.
If they want additional coaching or following up, I also do that as a consultant.
Got it. Okay, so there's consulting work and then there's the workshops and whatnot. Very cool. How do you, and let's shift over to the back end of the business a little bit. How do you actually attract clients? How do you bring leads in through the door?
Sure. So I have a pretty active LinkedIn business page that I use. I post on pretty regularly, and I post out things related to HR, recruiting, anything that I can that is relevant to the job market as it is right now. And then always try to make that case how it ties into leadership and professional development. Again, I'm doing a series right now called Terrible Bosses, which has just been a lot of fun to talk about all the different
Yeah.
terrible leaders that you don't want to be, right? And how to avoid being that person. So social media is a big thing, TikTok as well. So I use a lot of social media. And then word of mouth is a huge thing
Mhm.
for me. I've lived in Huntsville previously. I've been back here in Huntsville now for 3 or 4 years. Like I said, I was involved in a lot of the professional associations prior to starting my business. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly reaching out to people I know and just growing my personal network and my professional network both kind of at the same time.
Very cool. Yeah, I appreciate you breaking that down. One thing that we talk about a lot on this podcast is the power and importance of having a predictable lead generation machine that you
Mhm,
can turn on, turn off at the same time. I've had other founders express word of mouth, referrals, these types of organic leads, and they're always like, "Hey, this is the best lead source because they're typically the highest intent." They
mhm,
express frustrations with inconsistency and the
mhm,
fact that it's not always predictable and it's hard to really scale off of that because
mhm.
it's not predictable. So I'm curious for you, how has your experience been with that, with the ebbs and flows, and how have you navigated it?
It's certainly a struggle, right? I do a lot of work both for my business and outside of my business. So I'm always juggling back and forth between the two and
Mm,
having to decide how much time each week am I willing to dedicate to this. I've gotten myself recently into a routine where I know how frequently I'm going to post on social media, for instance, and I know when those posts are going to go out.
yep.
I know how many emails do I need to send every week? How many direct messages do I need to send every week? Or how many phone calls do I need to make every week? And so for me, it's been more about identifying how much do I need to do to get the results, right? And then turning kind of counter or reverse engineering the the schedule for me for myself to say this is what I need to do and when I need to do it. I wish I knew the golden formula. I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Yeah, fair enough. We're all trying to get there, right?
Mhm.
Let's walk me through your sales process. So once a lead does come in through the door, what are the different steps that they go through to become a client?
Sure. So for me, it's straightforward. It's again talking to them about what their specific needs are. So figuring out, identifying what subjects, how many people do they have that need the training, how much time are they willing to allot for the training, and then I go through a process of drawing them up an invoice and sending it to them so that they have that for their records and then receiving payment. So it's all pretty simple forward. Once we get past that initial conversation, it's getting that initial conversation going that is where the biggest hurdle tends to be.
Got it. Getting that initial conversation is the biggest hurdle. What do you mean by that?
There are a lot of people that recognize their business or organization needs leadership training or could benefit from it, but getting them to actually reach out and then have like really sit down and have that conversation. And sometimes it's over text and sometimes it's over the phone or Zoom, and sometimes it's in person, but to really say, okay, but what do you need? What is the specific need? And then identify it. And I think it's because people have so many other things going on. It's very easy for them to keep pushing the date back. Or, oh, we want to do it, but it's going to be 5 people. And then, oh, it's going to be 20. No, it's going to be 10 because not everybody can be there at the same time, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's getting them to kind of solidify those details and make those final decisions that sometimes I think is the biggest hurdle.
Yeah. Do you think that's a marketing issue? Do you think that's a sales issue? Do you think it's a messaging issue? What do you think?
I believe that it's a sales issue, and I can tell you that it's
Yeah.
because my background is not in sales. So my background obviously is in education, and my strength is in professional networking. So I'm great at marketing. I'm great at getting everybody together in a room, but the sales portion of it, for me, obviously, is my greatest weakness,
Yeah.
and it's the thing that I'm having to grow the most on.
Fair. Do you enjoy the sales or not really?
Not really.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, I
Yeah.
respect that. Walk me through when you think about your future in
Mhm.
the next 6 to 12 months and really where you want to take the company, your vision. What are your top priorities looking at the next 12 months? Walk me through that.
Next 12 months. So we just celebrated 3 years, and I
Congratulations.
was doing, yeah, thank you. And previously I was a columnist for the Huntsville Business Journal here in town, and I've done over 40 articles for them. And so that's been really nice. We've done presentations for SHRM, which is Society for Human Resource Management. I've done work with YKTA and some of the other manufacturers. But going forward, big goals, big dreams is to just secure more firm clients and
Yep.
to build a more reliable schedule, right? To say, especially repeat clients, right, is the goal. But it's to start stepping away from doing all of these kind of one-offs and
Yeah,
start
yeah.
to build more concrete, more permanent client base would be the
Mm.
goal for this next year.
What do you feel like is the biggest challenge standing in the way to making that happen?
Oh, it's a tough sell sometimes. And as I said, sales
Mm.
is not my
Yeah.
particular expertise. So when you look at getting folks again over that finish line, right?
Mm.
Getting them to open up, getting to have that conversation, and then saying, but sign on the dotted line, right? Let's
Yeah.
finalize the contract kind
Let's
of thing.
actually make this happen. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Because again, people recognize the need for this type of training, and there's always an interest in this type of training. But getting them to decide on a date and a time and how many people are going to be there and what's all going to be covered, that's where the communication falls apart.
Yeah. The commitment, like once they're ready to commit,
Mm-hmm.
it's sure we've been dating for a while. Now it's time to get engaged.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, fair enough.
Correct.
We're getting cold feet. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go into a quick closing lightning round where I'll rattle
Okay.
off some questions at you. And don't think too much, just the first thing that comes to mind. What's one tool or resource that's been a game changer for you in your company?
Some people aren't going to like me to say this, Chat GPT, and using
Yeah.
it to not to do the work, but to help do the work. And I think that's something that as time goes on, people are going to get better at.
Yeah. How do you personally use it? Are there any tips and tricks that you have for folks?
Yes. So if you are somebody like me as an academic and a writer, it can help you organize your thoughts, help you do outlines, it can help you with editing, but it cannot do the writing for you, right? And in the same way, you have to have the knowledge in your head already because you need to be able to critique what it gives you, right? And to go through, verify, is this information correct? Double check citations, those kind of things. So knowing how to use it, it's like any other tool in your toolbox.
Yeah,
You got to know how to use it properly, but it can be a lifesaver.
I completely agree. I think it's very powerful, but I think people think that anybody can just hop onto AI and have it be very
Mhm.
effective. I think a lot of people are using it as a toy instead of
Yeah.
a weapon, which
Yep.
can be used for in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what's the best piece of advice you've received, heard, slash read around scaling your company?
Oh gosh, don't give up.
Hmm.
That's it. Just don't give up. Don't be. There was a time about a year ago that I was absolutely ready to completely just throw in the towel and be done with it and walk away. And I drafted a whole letter explaining why I was doing it. And I had a couple people close to me say, just put it on the back burner and just breathe, give it a couple of days, sleep on it a couple of nights. Then when I came back, I had the realization I was like, okay, it's not done, it's not over. I just need to change my perspective, my priorities. And so just literally just don't give up. And when you get to that giving up point, take a step back and maybe change your paradigm, change your perspective
Hmm.
instead of just throwing in the towel.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
It's a great story. If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self right before you started the company 3 years ago, and you could give yourself a piece of advice you didn't know at the time that you wish you knew that you know now, what would that be?
Oh, just it's going to be a whole lot harder than you think. Just
Get
literally,
ready.
just true. Just like
Yeah.
buckle up. It's going to be tough. But when you do it, really identify your why. Figure out your cause. And I was a former K-12 teacher as well. And people in that realm always say, what's your why? And of course, it's the kids,
Yeah.
it's the students. But really figure out, why are you doing this? Because the truth is, if the answer is just, it's a job, I want to get paid, you're not going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Not for long. You're going to burn out so fast. But if you're really passionate about the work, you really love the type of work that you're doing, and you care about the work, it's a lot easier to keep going.
What is your why?
I love people. I love working with people. And like I said, I just want to make workplaces better. I just want to make, I always thought to myself, I want a job where I'm happy to go to work every day, where I don't leave work feeling drained and miserable. And I want that experience for everyone else. I've been blessed to have some amazing mentors and amazing supervisors and bosses in my life. I want everyone else to have that same opportunity.
I love that. What's the best way for people to reach you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. I do have a website, www.aducktraining.com, or they can find me again on LinkedIn. My personal page is Alexander Duck, or my business page, Aduck Training. Those would be the three best ways.
Awesome. Awesome. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. Alex, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey, sharing your insights, making the time. I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate it. If you're listening to this and you're inspired by today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're looking to scale your business and enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.